Okay, let's get right into it. Starting off with Google in its latest effort to make TV and movies to convince you that tech is not evil. Look, we know that Google's original mission was to make tech that was good for the world, good for the planet, good for everybody, kumbaya. Its latest effort involves making TV and movies to really spoon feed that to you. So what are they doing? Google is reportedly spinning up a film and TV production project called 100 Zeros. Okay, interesting word choice. According to a report from Business Insider, this initiative is intended to make young audiences feel more positively about specifically Google's products as well as tech at large. Okay, so obviously charity starts at home. Their TV shows and movies are going to convince you that, hey, Google is the best of the best. They are the goodest of the good guys, and then tech at large is also great. Is this Google's defense for any Rocco's Basilisk-esque fallouts in the future when AI eventually overlords over all of us? Who knows? Like Apple TV shows where actors will use MacBooks and iPhones. I did not know that's something Apple TV shows specifically did, but I will have to keep an eye out now. Pretty sneaky, Apple. I will use MacBooks and iPhones with clearly visible Apple logos. Wow, that's pretty sinister. That is like the most invested marketing campaign I've ever heard of. You launch an entire streaming service and a production complete with your own special shows to showcase your products. Uh, these projects might show characters using Android phones and other Google products. The project also hopes to encourage the creative community to adopt Google's tools in other areas. Here's my issue with this. I mean, not even gonna touch the fact that Google is trying to convince and spoon feed you that it's a good company, that it's morally right. That's a debate that we can have that's gonna go on for hours and hours. I think Google does a lot of things that aren't great. But anyway, Google's money does not come from its products, from products that consumers can buy off of the store shelves. Sorry, I'm a bit congested. Excuse my word spaghetti that I'm spewing every once in a while. But anyway, Google makes all of its money, and that's fair to say, all of its money from ad revenue off of AdSense and YouTube. People to sort of have marketing budget in terms of highly expensive productions and TV shows and movies, which are pretty expensive to make, just to showcase a product line, a collection of product lines that maybe generates less than 1% of your revenue, seems like a bad business decision. But hey, if Google thinks it, hey, maybe that's what it is. Maybe people are flocking to ChatGPT and OpenAI, so Google's losing that um, monopoly on search, and now it needs to get money and make sales from its other product lines. Maybe that's why it's taking these extreme measures. TechCrunch reached out to Google to comment, but yeah, isn't intending to share these projects via YouTube, which makes it interesting because YouTube already is a existing platform that people are loyal to. It would make sense to launch these productions on YouTube. What are you doing, Google? That's a B minus for business and a C minus for trying to for morality and ethics, for trying to spoon feed us that you're the good guys. What else is going on? Speaking of the good guys, have you guys heard of Cluey? Cluely, this company that is dedicated to cheating systems. Listen, whichever side of the aisle you land on with this company, the engineering has got to be solid. At the end of the day, these guys are hackers. They're trying to build applications that will let you hack systems. Whatever you do with these tools, whether or not that's ethical or immoral, is, not even up to interpretation. It is absolutely unethical and immoral, but the technology is the technology. Let's read into it. What if cheating was just the future of work? That's the pitch behind Cluely, the viral AI startup that claims that its stealthy browser overlay is undetectable and can help users bluff their way through everything from job interviews to exams. If you guys didn't know about what they do, LeetCode Cheater is their flagship product. It literally is, let me see if I can find this. Well, whatever. I'm not going to look through all these articles to get you their first product, but I'm sure you guys have come across videos of this all by now. This is a tool that gives you an overlay that is an AI copilot that listens in on the interview you're having, and it gives you the answers to the questions you're being asked. Especially for coding interviews, which ask you lead code style questions, the overlay, which is going to be completely invisible via your screen share, is going to show you the answers to all the coding problems. So much so that the overlay will literally type out what you need to type out, and all you have to do is just type under the overlay. And you're going to be solving these coding interview problems. I think any interviewer that's worth their salt, though, is going to figure out that there's that really sneaky lag between you thinking and communicating, and something's just not going to flow very well if all you're doing is looking at something on your screen and typing that down. Anyway, I guess if you're like a very sophisticated cheater, you could kind of really sell the cheating act. The company has raised $5.3 million and sparked a wave of backlash from startups building tools to catch cheaters. Cluedy's response? They'll just build smart glasses or brain chips. Okay, so there's a lot you can do with 5.3 mil, but you definitely can't invest in the hardware infrastructure that you need to build smart glasses or brain chips. That's like a whole company, Neuralink, and they're working with hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So I think the mission for this company is to let you cheat systems. Again, the engineering is going to be interesting. I definitely think they need a lot more money and a lot more runway to be building smart glasses and brain chips. I think the intention for the founder was always to go viral. He staked his enrollment at Stanford, I believe, on the line in order to go viral and reveal with all of the internet that this is him using the product to cheat on an Amazon interview and land offers from Amazon and other big tech corporations. Okay, so yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about other tragedies in the tech scene, right? Boo-hoo. Tesla sales continue to slump across Europe despite April EV sales swell. This isn't a surprise. There's some pretty solid competitors for electric vehicles in the electric vehicle space, particularly ones that aren't based out of the US. If you've heard of BYD, Build Your Dreams, they make these incredible SUVs that look very luxurious and premium, and then have these really wild gimmicky capabilities. You'll see them hop over potholes and spin 360 degrees in place and go, like sort of become not a submersible, but they're amphibious in terms of them being able to swim in water for 30 minutes. You have some crazy lore with these Chinese electric vehicles, and their market penetration is pretty good. While the CEO, or part-time CEO of Tesla, I should say, is struggling between splitting his time between his many companies and slashing budget on behalf of the US government. Let's read into this a bit more. Tesla's new car sales in Spain fell 36% in April, that is the month we just passed, to hit 571 vehicles year over year. 571 vehicles year over year. So they just sold about 571 vehicles in Spain in April. That's that's not great. I mean, I'm sort of worried about these vehicles in Spain because I don't know what's going on in Europe. I don't know if they have stronger laws and better law enforcement, better um, measures against vandalism in place. But these people are torching Teslas left and right in the U.S. Look, if I owned a Tesla, and this was before Elon lost his lost his sort of scrambled his noggins a little bit or spread himself out a little bit too thin. I would be worried about my car, right? I don't even know if insurance covers Tesla's catching fire. I mean, what do you even put on that claim? Plunged in the first 4 months. Tesla sales in Spain mirrored those in Europe generally, which plunged in the first 4 months of the year by 37.2%. Even the sales of fully electric vehicles rose 28% on the continent. It's not great. I mean, it seems like the future forward trend is adoption of electric vehicles, and Tesla was the first mover in the market. It's truly scary to see them. I mean, scary for Elon to see these Tesla fall behind so much compared to the other EVs that are late to the market. Some countries saw steeper losses than others. For example, Sweden's Tesla sales dropped 81% to their lowest level in nearly 3 years. All right, the Swedes are definitely torching those 20 or so Teslas that still sold in April. Pretty bold Swedes who bought those Teslas. All right, so let's get into the meat of it. Tesla's poor sales outcome in Europe come as some buyers protest CEO Elon Musk's swing into right-wing politics, obviously, and closeness with President Donald Trump, whose tariffs had resulted in global economic instability. Europeans are also increasingly buying more Chinese EVs, including those from Tesla rival BYD. BYD is a clear winner here, and they're making incredible vehicles. If it was easier to acquire BYDs in in the US, I think we'd see a lot of BYDs out on our streets. But I don't think we're going to do that anymore, particularly because there's such aggressive tariffs against China. TeleMessage, a modified signal clone used by US government officials, has been hacked. Uh-oh. I mean, it's not like the US government officials were taking very stringent measures to keep their signal conversations secure and private in the first place, but what's this hack? Let's read into it. A hacker has exploited a vulnerability in TeleMessage, which is the signal clone that these US government officials are using, which provides modded versions of encrypted messaging such as Signal, Telegram, and WhatsApp to extract archived messages and other data relating to US government officials and companies who use the tool, 404 Media reported. So these are not real-time messages, so that's, I guess, one PR point that could be floated as a bit of damage control. These aren't messages that are live and in play. These are messages that are archived. I mean, that doesn't mean that they don't contain sensitive information. It just means that these messages don't have the most relevant and latest information. Still pretty bad. TeleMessage came into the spotlight last week after it was reported that former U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was using TeleMessage's modified version of Signal. Israel-based TeleMessage, owned by Smarsh, offers its clients a way to archive messages, including voice notes from encrypted apps. The messages of cabinet members and Waltz were not compromised, 404 Media said, but the hacked data contained contents of messages, contact information of government officials, back-end login credentials for TeleMessage. That is not great. Okay, that's a big leak. What are back-end login credentials for TeleMessage? Are these sensitive API secrets and access tokens? Because that would give you scary level of access as an admin to the whole TeleMessage infrastructure, which could be pretty scary. Data pertaining to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, crypto exchange Coinbase, and financial service providers like Scotiabank were extracted by the hacker, the report said. The hack revealed that archive chat logs are not end-to-end encrypted, between the modded version of Signal that TeleMessage offers and the ultimate location where it stores the messages. Okay, oh my god. All right, so let's get into it. Just, there's so many stages and there's so many kinds of encryptions that you can use, right? Encrypting is not expensive, first of all. Encrypting is easy. I think companies shouldn't really try to cut corners when it comes to encrypting messages. But let's talk about the phases in which your encryption needs to be in play, right? Obviously, when you're sending a message, and what end-to-end encryption means is I send you a message. The peer receiving my message is, like hundreds of miles away. The messages are encrypted when they leave my device. They are encrypted in transit. The packets of data that leave my phone and eventually make their way to the other person's device are encrypted throughout the entire time, and they're decrypted on the other person's device. So encryption in transit. It seems that the vulnerability here was encryption in storage, particularly for the archived messages, right? I think whenever these archived messages were stored on the databases, the tables themselves that contain these messages, or the collections that contain these messages, were not encrypted. Yeah, that's not great. That's just lazy. Do better. Message. All right, this is going to be a short segment. I have a doctor's appointment, not really doing the best today, but let's do our final news item for the day. OpenAI reverse course says its nonprofit will remain in control of its business operations. This flip-flop of OpenAI's ownership structure is just it's so it's spinning its wheels in place. Like, what do you I look, I get the issue. OpenAI can't really scale as quickly as it wants to if it continues to remain to be a nonprofit. It needs to, if it wants to raise capital in order to grow organically by just bringing in subscription revenue from enterprises and from customers, from direct customers, consumers, and users, you and me. or if it wants to raise capital from interested investment companies. Not that OpenAI is going to have an issue raising capital, but if it wants to raise serious capital, I imagine it will need to convince investors that, hey, we are profit minded, right? Eventually, if we do IPO, yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I don't think nonprofit companies can IPO, but eventually, when we do IPO, we're going to make profits and we're going to give you a share of the profits, earnings per share. What's OpenAI got into now? Has decided that its nonprofit division will retain control over its for-profit organization after the company initially announced that it planned to convert to a for-profit organization. Okay, so the holding structure for OpenAI has was pretty weird. I mean, at least when it first spun off a for-profit wing, it had the non-profit entity that was still the umbrella under which the for-profit wing existed. It announced that it was going to OpenAI at some point announced that they were going to go fully for profit, but they rolled it back. According to the company, OpenAI's business wing, which has been under the nonprofit since 2019, will transition to a public benefit corporation, PBC. The nonprofit will control and also be a larger shareholder of the public benefit corporation. OpenAI was founded as a nonprofit and is today overseen and controlled by that nonprofit. OpenAI board chairman Brett Taylor wrote in a statement on the company's blog, going forward, it will continue to be overseen and controlled by the nonprofit. OpenAI says that, okay, so profit, nonprofit, I don't really know how that plays into OpenAI's mission. I think it really does have funding implications and how easily OpenAI is able to raise funds. But in terms of just making sure the development of the AI is happening in an ethically compliant way, in a responsible way, I think there's definitely been complaints from engineers that have left OpenAI and from competitors of OpenAI that they could be doing better on that front. So I don't really know if having a nonprofit wing oversee all of its operations is going to help on that front, but that is the issue that OpenAI seems to be struggling with. OpenAI says that it made that decision after hearing from civic leaders and engaging in constructive dialogue with the offices of the Attorney General of Delaware and the Attorney General of California. We thank both offices and we look forward to continuing those important conversations to make sure OpenAI can continue to effectively pursue its mission. Okay, all right. I, I, I don't know. I mean, all eyes on OpenAI right now, right? I think OpenAI's mission, whether irrespective of whether it's trying to make money, as much money as humanly possible, or if it's trying to, I don't know, just make the best possible technology. Its mission right now is to be the best AI service company in the world. I don't think, quite frankly, it helps OpenAI to bog itself down in the politics of like, oh, we're a nonprofit now, but trying to convert to a for-profit entity, but still being monitored by a nonprofit. I don't think that kind of noise, that kind of politicking is helping senior leadership team focus on what really matters. So I hope, they can just put that to rest and move on forward with the structure as is. Hey, I want what's best for the world too. I want the best possible AI model, the most responsibly developed AI model to become available to everybody. Anyway, that is my time. We're going to do a bit of a shorter episode today. I have a doctor's appointment in 2 minutes, but thank you for watching. I will